Hello everyone, welcome to the TheGeoecolologist. I am Dr. Krishnanand, and in today's session we are going to learn about SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis or SWOT matrix has been part of all social science research and various other kinds of research related to ecology, environment, commerce and several other disciplines. So let's understand in today's session how to do it, why is it needed, and when we finally do it, what are the ways in which it can be interpreted. And also, not just SWOT analysis but also SWOC analysis we are going to learn. So let's go ahead. So let's understand this SWOT analysis by a statement. The statement is, chance favors the prepared mind. It's by Louis Pasteur. So what do you understand by this? That if we have a prepared mindset, remember, even if there is an opportunity or even if there is a chance, we can actually grab that chance and make the best possible use of it. So that's what SWOT analysis helps us to do. It helps us to make strategies, to plan ourselves in our context of study. So basically, strengths and weaknesses, the S and W parts, are the internal factors of SWOT analysis, and opportunities and threats, that is O and T, are external factors. So what do we observe here is that SWOT analysis is a balance of analysis between internal factors and external factors. So in our context of study, we need to understand that is the context of study or the analysis of the study balanced? Is it so? Are the strengths and weaknesses put together, that is internal factors, dominating? Or is it in sync with the external factor, or whether the external factor is dominating? These are certain things, these are certain reasoning. That is what we learn from SWOT analysis in actual sense. So let's understand further. Let's learn a little bit about the origin, its history. So SWOT or the SWOT matrix was developed in 60s by Albert Humphrey. So he led a research project at Stanford University to analyze data of 500 large corporations reported by Fortune magazine. So the first time it was used, it was for the corporate analysis. And as a result, they created a method that quickly turned into an exercise used by all of the world's leading companies and later by students, research scholars in every field, almost in every social science and sciences field, in order to formulate strategies. So now let's understand the analytical tools. So SWOT analysis in a simple analysis system designed to check the strategic position of a particular company or an individual or a particular field of operation or context. So that is important to understand. Then the method to undergo SWOT analysis is very simple. It can be used to analyze any scenario or environment, be it internal or external, as we know from the earlier analysis. So now the important catch here is to understand the context. It means the contextual nature of our work. Whatever field we are doing our research, we need to use this analysis in that particular context very specifically. So let's understand that SWOT analysis, that is strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threat, are categorized into internal and external, as well as helpful and harmful subcategories for understanding, as you can see in the image. So what makes SWOT analysis especially powerful is that a little thought, that it can help you uncover various opportunities that you would not otherwise have spotted in your work. So that's important to understand, that when you are doing your research analysis, when you have got your database and now you're doing your analysis, when you have your little results coming in, outcomes are there in front of you, you need to uncover little opportunities that are there by the analysis of your data set in your study. So by understanding your weaknesses, you can also manage, eliminate those threats. And remember, it's important that otherwise you may not understand it, or you may otherwise hurt your ability to move forward with the study or in the context where you're using it. So you can further develop your abilities, or you can develop the context of study in terms of your research, and also it can help you attain those goals, reach your objectives of that research, meet your objectives to a given end. That's important. Now, SWOT analysis is not just about listing out strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats that you perceive. Remember here, it's not just listing it. Okay, if you're just thinking that make a matrix and just list the things, no, it's not like that. It's about asking the right questions. Remember, in a research, everything is linked to your research questions, right? So if you're not asking right questions, how will you get to the answer for your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities in the context of study and your threats? That's where the question lies. And if you are asking a right question, a contextual question, then you will have the best of SWOT analysis. So how do we figure out those questions? Let's understand in this session that there are a few examples that we are going to understand through which these questions can be picked up. So let's understand this for a personal work, for a personal development, a self-assessment. How do you do it? What are the questions? Let's see. In context of strengths, let's understand what advantages do I have over the others? That's the first question. Then, what am I better at than anyone else? What personal resources do I have access to? These questions will give us the answers, and that answer will be our strength. Okay, now let's go to the W part, that is the weakness part. So what task do I usually avoid? That's where you're procrastinating even, right? So that's your weakness. Then what expertise do I lack? That's another question to be asked by yourself. Then what holds me back in my field? That is the weakness part. Then opportunities, let's understand. So what are the questions? In my surrounding conducive for my strength? Is it? That's important. That will give you that. Is it an opportunity? Then what is it that I can use my strengths for? That's where correlation with the strength comes to the opportunity, right? So if you realize it, then you'll have the answer to the opportunity. And how can I overcome my weaknesses? That's another question. That will also have an opportunity in the answer. So, and at the end, threats. So is something that can hinder my growth in coming times? That is a little threat, that is perception based. That's important to answer. Then, am I in the wrong company or wrong place or wrong context of study am I using? That's important for knowing the threat. And then, what is my competition doing? So if you have people in your competition, if you have competition in terms of the research that you're doing in, the results and analysis that you are bringing out in your research, then you need to ask this question and find the answers, and then you can put in the matrix. Now, another part, if the context of study is ecological, environmental research, or is it linked to some kind of social order, remember, these can be the questions. For example, in strength section, if you go, you can ask what advantages over others. So what are the advantages over others? If my study is proving something in my context of area or my study area, something is happening, then what is the USP? That is my uniqueness. That's important. Then what resources are in my favor, or what resources do I have access to in my particular area, or people have those access? That's one point. Then weaknesses. What are the things to avoid? So remember, if you're avoiding things because of the weakness, that will come out. What is lacking? What is holding back? These are important questions. And then you have opportunities. So in opportunity section, vision of the work in larger picture. That's important. If you're doing a certain kind of ecological study, or suppose climate change study, or suppose any other study, remember your context of study is adding to a larger picture. And that you need to visualize. That is where your opportunity lies. So how the strength can be put to best use, that's important. And finding your utility in the adversity or your limitation of your study, that's important. That will give you answer to your opportunities. And at last, the challenges. If it is not threat, it can be challenges. So what are the obstacles that you need to overcome? That's important in your context of study. That will give you the challenge, the goal you can set. So what is the priority that needs to be taken care? What are the preparation that needs to come? This is important for SWOC analysis. So that's a little difference between the SWOT and the SWOC analysis that you may have now learned finally. Now, how to do a SWOT analysis, how to make a matrix of it. This is the stepwise thing. Remember, so determine the objective first. So if you're clear in your research about your objective, then you can decide on a key project or strategy to analyze it and place it on the top of the page. So first determine your objective, that's important. Then now finally create a grid where you draw a large square, then divide it into 4 smaller squares. Okay, that's how the matrix is made. Okay, so that's important to understand. Now you have to label each of the box. How will you label it? By the name of strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. And because now you already know that what is going to be the contribution in each of the boxes, accordingly you can use Smart Draw as well for that, or SWOT diagrams templates are available online. You can download any template and you can use it in your study, and then add the points to each of the part of the matrix. So add your points in a very crisp manner, short manner. Do not write long sentences, write short sentences. Make it to the point, make it contextual in nature and meaningful in form of the bullets. Remember that. And then finally draw the conclusive part of it, that is analyze. Don't leave when you make the matrix. Many people have this tendency that after they have done with the matrix, they don't bother about interpreting it, drawing conclusions from the matrix. Remember, a matrix is not complete without its interpretation, without drawing inferences from it. So analyze the finished diagram and then finally understand in context of your study that have you done a fair work? Is it important to outline those points that you have mentioned in each of the section, that is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threat or challenges? So that's important, and you need to understand that is there any more adjustment needed to make it better. So that's your call on it. So what are the benefits of SWOT analysis? Let's look at it. The first one is it is a great aid to decision making. So decision making is a practical aspect, the applied aspect of your work. That's where it will help you out. Okay, then building on strengths. When you realize what is your strength, what is your weaknesses, what are the internal factors, what are the external factor, you can be the best person to understand that how your study can build a strength, how things can be applied in your study area where strength can be built up. That's where it comes handy. Now identifying the opportunities, that's important, that you gain through this. And then finally counteracting the threats or challenges. So these are certain important benefits, but remember, identification and assessment of your unique selling point or unique selling proposition, that is your uniqueness, that is your USP. That is what SWOT analysis and SWOT matrix brings out from your study. It tells you about the unique factors in your study. That's what its utility is all about. So remember this, and remember, don't leave it like that. After you are done with it, there are certain questions that you need to ask, and then it will be a complete work. So what are those questions? Like, do you need to revise your objectives based on your analysis? That is when it is handy that you can also go for a revision in your objective. Then what evidence do you need to gather to make your case for change if you want to make it more practical in nature? So then what you can do is you can make it a little change accordingly. Then what are the key factors, or who are the key factors in your study that you can include or exclude? And importantly, they are there for making your strategies. And then what is your timeline for implementation when you're making a practical judgment over your analysis? These are certain questions that follows up a SWOT analysis, a SWOT matrix. So remember, just making a matrix is not complete without answering these questions post matrix analysis. All right, so another question is, how will you understand that you have been successful? This is about self-assessment of your own work. For that, you need to do it and redo it, write it and rewrite it. That's where you'll answer this particular question. All right, SWOT analysis is a context. So prepare SWOT in a context, that's important, and use your case study results very effectively. So now, after you have heard everything about SWOT analysis, how to do a SWOT analysis, how to make a SWOT matrix, how to apply it, what are the key aspects, now I hope that you understand that how will you apply SWOT matrix in your context of study. So if you have learned well, and if you have not subscribed yet to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel, and other links have been provided in the description box. So see you for the next lecture. Thank you so much. Stay safe. Take care.